This video is brought to you by Amber. Amber keeps your EV on the road longer, offering seamless protection with no long-term contracts or upfront costs. Learn more at the link in the description and use code SPEC5 for 5% off.
Welcome to another Out of Spec Renew video, and we're going to talk about the challenges of renewing some of these old EVs. First of all, we've got shops like this. Super cool of you guys, Conduit EV, to do what you do. And by the way, this is the coolest thing here, this forklift.
Also an EV.
Are you forklift certified?
Yeah,
Holy
absolutely.
crap.
Of course, we have to be.
Yeah, we got some EVs around here. This 2013 Model S, for those who don't remember, go watch the I-90 Surge. This thing absolutely ripped across the country nonstop. Signature red Model S. There's a video over on Spec Reviews checking that out. Got a whole fleet of Leafs, RAV4 EVs, some stuff inside, and this is the shop.
Here we are.
We've done a full tour on this shop before on this channel. We've also, well, actually that full tour was over on Spec Reviews maybe, but you know, too many channels.
Yeah.
We've also done LDU rebuild, launch drive unit on this channel. Of course, Alex, you know, a lot of us know Alex.
Oh yeah,
He's
great guy.
done loads of videos on this channel, but today we're taking over the channel. Suck it, Alex. We are going to talk about.
Sorry, dude.
We're going to talk about some challenges, some interesting things with getting a hold of parts.
Yeah.
And just, I think it's just interesting to back up, kind of do a 5,000, 10,000 foot view on what it takes to repair these cars, but also just, I think that the challenge that not everyone is aware of getting some of these parts.
Yep.
So
I guess we'll start here at the good old Toyota RAV4 EV. So this one's a 2012 here. Beautiful. It came in for an onboard charger and a partial rebuild. So, you know, these Toyota RAV4 EVs, there was only 2,600 of them made, and there's about 1,000 left on the road. Well, getting parts for a vehicle that there's only 1,000 left on the road, and all of them constantly need work, so those parts are starting to get sucked up real fast. You know, this one being said, needed that onboard charger. And well, it's not just any kind of onboard charger. You can't just take like a Tesla Model S onboard charger, although they look the same. The internal software is completely different. So it's actually a Toyota circuit board, but a Tesla onboard charger. So what my tech was just saying there is you can get a Tesla Model S onboard charger and you can flash it. Sometimes it accepts it, but 90% of the time it'll reject it. So, I mean, we're not sure why it does that. But yeah, that onboard charger, because it's Toyota, Tesla, they're just unfortunately really, really difficult to get. And, you know, for a simple onboard charger repair for like a Model S, you know, it's about $2,000. For these, it's about $3,000.
Right.
And the prices are just going up, unfortunately.
Right. So as the parts amount are decreasing, the supply and demand challenge.
Yeah.
Where the cost goes up, and so that's a challenge. You know, people are buying these cars for cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. We did a whole video, like I said, talking about those old Model S's. There's an old Model S.
Yep.
Also very cheap. These cars are getting more and more attainable, but then you're getting into the points where the repairs can often cost more than the car.
Than the actual car. So, you know, for this one, I think the customer had purchased this one for about $5,500 a few years ago. What we're seeing right now in the market for these Toyota RAV4 EVs is a lot of people are like, hey, look, a super cheap EV, it's Toyota, it's gonna run forever. Toyota has the Toyota name. And I mean, as cool as they are, it's still early Tesla parts with Toyota software that wasn't really in the EV market. So, you know, as great as these vehicles are and as cool as they are, there was never really a demand set up by Tesla and or Toyota to properly diagnose these and repair these parts. So, yeah, unfortunately, parts are getting expensive for these Toyota RAV4 EVs.
That's kind of a theme that I've been fearful of as some of these companies have come to surface. You know, you have, maybe we could talk really quick about, you know, the likes of Fisker and even VinFast, where it's like they have cars that are being sold to people. Well, Fisker is no longer selling cars, obviously.
Yeah.
We see how that turned out. But what are the options and what are the limitations for people who have Fiskars, but even VinFast is still selling cars, but doesn't have that many places to work on them, or even maybe somewhat the resources. And so the purpose of the video is like twofold, like getting the parts, but also getting the service.
So, I mean, realistically, all these newer EVs that are coming out, the foundation just isn't there yet, especially with like VinFast, Fisker. There was actually a dealership right down the street from us, went out of business within a year. And so we have customers that come into us and like, hey, I have this Fisker, it's having this issue, and unfortunately we can't work on it yet. The software is not out there yet, and the people who had that software are no longer working for the company. So, you know, for us, it's a hurdle that we're trying to, you know, get over and jump. Essentially, our plan for that is to hire someone who had worked at Fisker who can essentially help us figure out this software so we can fix it. So, you know, for Fisker owners, when something does happen, I mean, there's no one there to repair it.
Right.
And so there are parts you can get, like you have to go on eBay or you have to find like a wrecked vehicle and just swap the parts out and hope that it works. Because, you know, as stated before, that software isn't out there unless there's someone who can hack it, figure it out, which we've done in the past. But
right, and I've heard maybe like a consortium of sorts, like people on the internet kind of bonding together to like try to like get it decoded and figured out. I don't know where that process is. But.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're like on the forums checking every time to see if anyone's figured anything out. So, you know, we can go out there and help those people. But then you have VinFast, like a brand new company that has no infrastructure really in the United States. So I think there's about 5,000 of these VinFast vehicles that are here in California alone, but they don't have anyone who can work on them. So, I mean, there's great companies out there. One company, RepairWise, that we just partnered with, what they're doing is they're bringing in the VinFast technicians and actual engineers into the United States, and then the companies that partner with RepairWise, they then teach the techs, give the software, so then shops like us can actually work on those vehicles.
Interesting.
So yeah, there's some really exciting stuff in the pipeline. Now, regarding like actually getting it worked on, we're not able to do it at this point in time. So if there is an issue, what's most likely going to happen with these newer EVs is they're going to have to go to the dealership, and then, you know, they're going to sit on them for a while. Even like that Nissan Leaf over there, you know, it needed a battery pack, and it was going to be a year before the customer could get that battery pack. So, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And, you know, that's a 2022 Nissan Leaf over there. And the reason it came here was because not only was it $20,000, but the customer was going to have to wait a year and a half to get that battery pack. So, you know, shops like us are able to make do with what we can get our hands on, and, you know, what we can't get our hands on, and we try and figure it out the best we can. So
right. So how about, I mean, you know, like we've said in other videos, the old Teslas, the Model S's are getting really appealing because it's a cool car.
It is.
It's a nice driving car, decent software, you know, better software than the Toyota over there. Just better driving experience. Like it's tempting to see these luxury cars dip into non-luxury pricing, but then you're still repairing a luxury car, maintaining a luxury car, I should say. So even if you buy this Model S for $5,000, you're still maintaining a what, 80, 90, whatever, $100,000 car. That can be tricky, both from the cost perspective, but also now what you're seeing is the parts availability.
Correct. So this Model S, the story behind this one was the customer, who was a college kid, bought this as his first vehicle because, well, he's off to college, and he's like, it's a Tesla. I don't have to maintain it. It's great. I can supercharge it, all that. Not even a week later, it had a failure.
Wow.
The drive unit failed, and it completely bricked itself. We told the customer how much it was to repair it, and it actually exceeded the value of the vehicle for what the customer bought it from. So we were able to actually make a deal with the customer. We bought it for $4,500 from him because we own, you know, an EV repair shop. It's easy for us to fix it. This one will turn into a shop car. But that being said, one of the main issues that we're starting to see here with these older Teslas and the large drive unit is stators are starting to go out. And when the coolant intrusion gets into those stators, all the copper windings and stuff start touching. Well, there's a huge shortage in stators right now. We have all the independent repair shops and like all the dismantling shops literally calling each other, hey, do you have a good stator? Do you have the stator? It's got to test, you know, above 200 mega ohms. And so right now, the issue that we're running into is sourcing good stators. So the solution that we're looking at now is finding someone who can pull out the windings from inside that stator, all the copper windings, rewind it, and then reseal it and rewax it so we can get these parts.
Right.
You know, from Tesla, they don't do that. It's just, hey, here's a brand new motor. You have to pay the $8,000 or whatever it is. And, you know, for most people, what we're trying to do is save them money.
Right.
So, you know.
Yeah. Do you have examples of like parts over? I mean, we could.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've shown, like I said, the shop before, but like seeing battery packs and motors everywhere is so freaking cool.
Yeah.
Even headlight assemblies. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild. So here's one of the drive units here. And things that are getting like harder to source and find is these older Teslas. This is the primary drive gear here. And on the other side of it is the rotor. And what's happening is the splines are starting to get stripped out.
Yep.
Well, once again, Tesla doesn't sell these parts, nor does any of the third-party dismantling companies. So what you have to do is buy a whole motor, which you can get for a lot cheaper, but you don't know the state until you open it up.
Right.
And you know, the primary drive gear and its actual shaft, I mean, it's just splines, and when they strip out, like, yeah, he's got one right here.
Maybe we can use this as like a public outreach
Yeah.
thing. If anybody wants to get into repairing the splines on some gears and rotors.
So you can see how it's all sheared and made into tiny little, well, essentially pyramids, little triangles. And what happens is when the grease is pulled out, then it strips it down, and these gear sets are getting, just getting really, really difficult to source. So the way that everything is kind of looking is, if we're not able to find a way to source new rotors and primary drive gears and stators, then it's going to have to be buying new motors and then just piecing them out from there to fix other customers' vehicles. But
I mean, is there like an end game to this? Or I should say a fallout of like, I don't know, is there a future where you'll never be able to maintain these old Model S's again? Or is that like, at some point it gets so expensive to replace that only the hardcore enthusiasts will be able to afford maintaining them?
It's funny that you say that. We've actually been thinking about, okay, now that it's getting so expensive to get these parts, it would make more sense for us to start manufacturing our own parts.
Yeah.
So, for example, the motor mount bushings found here, also on the large drive unit. These used to be available 6 months ago. Tesla EPC, where we get most of our parts from, are used to, they don't sell these anymore, or they've been on back order for 8 months now. And so what we're starting to see with these Model S's, the older ones especially, more and more parts from Tesla are becoming unavailable. And they're straight up just like either on back order, and they've been on back order for 8 months to a year, or they won't even give you the option to buy it anymore. So that being said, like this motor mount bushing, we can't get, so we started manufacturing our own.
Nice.
And so, you know, parts like this, you know, we're going to put a whole kit together with all of our own hybrid ceramic bearings, our own bushings, and, you know, we're working on rotors and primary drive gears and stuff, so that way we can keep these Model S motors, large drive units, on the road for a way cheaper cost than going to Tesla and just being like, hey, we know you can't get these motors anymore, these large drive units anymore, and that's when prices start going up. So we're trying to beat that curve.
Right. So there's a level of like, maybe you manufacture stuff yourself. Obviously that takes some R&D and cost up front.
Yep.
And you have to like evaluate how much you could you know, return from that.
Yep.
But then there are the lower volume cars like RAV4 EV where it's like, maybe, I don't know, but even though that shares some stuff with the Model S and B-Class, so I guess it does depend, which is hard.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, you really have to love those Toyota RAV4 EVs and the Mercedes B250Es to keep them on the road. Now, one thing I will note about those B250Es is we've never replaced a single pack. I mean, those things are dogs. They're still on the road today. We've had one sitting here in our shop for about a year. But everything else, because it is Mercedes, and now it's a luxury car, but not only, it's a Mercedes luxury car.
Right.
So those parts are even more expensive than the Toyota RAV4 EV. And once again, just as limited. So
how's the packs been on the RAV4?
they've been good. I mean, it's a coin flip on them.
Right.
Either we've seen some that people have fast charged and done the granny charge and they're just fine. They're still at 80% state of health. And then we have other ones that were only granny charged and like half the modules went out. And why that's happening, we're not sure. Yeah. But it's a coin. You either get a lemon or you get a really good Toyota RAV4 EV.
Yeah, I mean those are kind of cool. It kind of feels like the Model S.
Yeah.
There was in early Model S days there was a 40 that not many people know about, and which was a software locked 60 kilowatt hour pack.
Yeah.
The RAV4 is kind of like the real 40.
Yeah.
Like, it really is about 40 kilowatt hours. So it's not like a software locked thing. It's
it's
cool.
it's pretty wild. I totally forgot about those 40s. Yeah, they started doing that, but then there wasn't a demand for it, so they just kind of stopped that 40 pack for the Model S.
Right, and they couldn't even supercharge.
Yeah.
They were pretty limited.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting.
So, I mean, a lot of these battery packs now, what we're starting to see customers come in for is people who own the Toyota RAV4 EVs. We've started just pulling the modules out, balancing them, and that way people can repair the battery packs themselves, or they get turned into a solar wall.
Right.
So, I mean, there's always some sort of way to recycle these parts, and like I said, we turn bad things into good things, and when we run into certain things that we can't find or source, make it ourselves and see what happens.
Right. So do you see whenever let's say a RAV4 or a B class gets in a wreck, maybe finds its way to a salvage yard, it's kind of up to you guys or shops like you to find those.
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing salvage yards don't think to maybe some stuff in here is valuable and we should reach out, or do you see some salvage yards notify you?
Yeah, so I mean, the way that we have everything structured right now is we don't actually have to go to salvage yards. The customers come to us, and the way that it happens is the customer brings in the vehicle, hey, I've put a lot of money into this, and we then explain to them, your drive unit's out, it's gonna cost you this much to repair it. So then we're able to work out a price, buy the vehicle from the customer, take the parts out of it, and then then it goes off to the junkyard. So we're able to recycle parts. Now, if we do go to a salvage yard, most of the time it's just the bare bones of it. People have already stripped the battery packs off. Anyone who knows about the Mercedes B250E or the Toyota RAV4 EV, by the time we do get to them, in the rare case that we have to, it's bones. I mean, because the parts are getting so hard to find. And then what we do see is a little bit of scavenging, where then we'll see it on eBay. Hey, Toyota RAV4 EV motor, $15,000. And we're like, that's just crazy. You don't even know the state of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have kind of like this buyback program for customers where it doesn't make sense to repair that vehicle anymore. Then we come in, take the parts out, remanufacture them, and then give it new life to other customers who want to keep their vehicle on the road.
Right. No, I think it's really fascinating to cover, all these topics. But especially in light of more and more people are getting into finding out these cars exist, first of all, because a lot of them are a very small number of run. But then also, they're approaching the prices where it's like, wow, more and more people are into that realm of, I could buy this. Someone who's looking at maybe an $8,000 Camry suddenly is like, oh, I could get a Model S for $8,000.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, looking at maintaining a Model S versus maintaining a Camry. And it's hard because it somewhat is luck of the draw in some ways. You do see old Model S's and X's with nothing that's ever really been needed on it. And then you see, with a Camry, it's like you got kind of regular stuff that has to happen, but and can plan for it. Sure, transmission things randomly happen. My brother actually has a 2011 RAV4, not EV, of course, but the transmission went out at like 80,000 miles. You just never
Toyota,
know.
It's a Toyota.
It should run forever.
No, I know. I learned that lesson myself with my personal RAV4, not an EV, 1998. And man, engine needed to be replaced. The manual transmission needed to be replaced. And I just sunk so much money into it. But it, it only had 120,000 miles on it. And sometimes that just happens. Regarding these older vehicles, the Model S, RAV4 EV, the Mercedes B250E, even the Fiat 500e.
Right.
You're starting to see these vehicles for a really low price, and it's really enticing because what a lot of people don't understand is there's no maintenance.
Right.
Which to some extent it's true, but also at the same time, yeah, there's still oil in it, there's still brake fluid, there's still coolant, you know, there's contactors and electronic components that unfortunately age is not nice to.
There's really, there's not no maintenance, there's just less maintenance, but also different maintenance.
Correct.
And that's something that, you know, I'm hoping we kind of branch out of this. You know, a lot of people sold EVs back in the day, Tesla, back in, well, even, you know, my brother working in 2017, it was like, you kind of was told to tell people that you don't really need maintenance.
Correct.
But it's just like, there's things that can happen and do come up that either is scheduled or unplanned that not enough people talk about, which maybe we should do a whole series on this channel of you know, each car's maintenance. I mean, what do you think of, well, first of all, the Fiat 500e? How many of those do you guys interact with?
So we used to work on them, but then we actually discontinued because what we were seeing is the Fiat 500e, it's a cool little car, it's fantastic, we love how it looks and drives and everything, but the DC to DC charger, especially in the Generation 1, was known for, you know, trying to maintain that battery pack, and so it would kick itself on to try and charge the 12 volt, and what would end up happening is it would run the main battery pack, the high voltage traction battery, all the way down to a point where it was unrecoverable.
Right.
And so we started getting a bunch of those vehicles in, and we were starting to see, you know, the notorious like turtle mode. I think it was like 42%, and instantly we knew what it was. So we would try and source packs. Well, we couldn't get any packs. And the packs that we could get, I mean, that were in perfect condition and or rebuilt were just at a price point that didn't make sense. And so what ended up happening is these Fiat 500Es that we had come in, it was going to be like $15,000. And that was for, you know, our cost to get the battery pack from a place that we knew was a good known running battery pack. And so we just ended up ultimately stopped working on these Fiat 500Es because 90% of the customers that come in and be like, I can't afford that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them, the customers would sell and then it would go to auction and or at the junkyard. You know, cool piece of history, but that aspect of it, of that DC to DC problem, you know, running that 12 volt and running the battery pack to zero, I mean, that was just a fatal flaw.
Right.
And no one ever really addressed it. And because of that, kind of killed them out.
I mean, we've done a lot of fun series on our channels of, like, you know, talking about old cheap EVs. We've even talked about doing, you know, comparison series of, you know, how they drive, which ones DC fast charge, which ones don't. But as someone who actually works on EVs, if someone was coming up to you and being like, you know, I got this all the time. I worked for Apple for a long time, so people are like, what computer should I buy?
All the time.
So someone comes up to you and they're like, I want to get an EV. I don't have, you know, much money. What options do you feel like are relatively safer? Obviously, anything can happen to any car, but like, which cheap options do you feel more confident in?
Yeah, so I mean, realistically, if you're going to go for a really cheap vehicle, Model S. I mean, there's still enough parts out there. Yes, it's getting hard and difficult to repair them. Not as difficult as the RAV4 Mercedes or the Fiat 500e. Now, for luxury, Model S. Reliability, Nissan Leaf.
Yeah.
I love the Nissan Leaf. I used to not like how it looks. Now I drive it. It's my daily driver. Now, the battery packs, they're a little bit, you know, crappy, and, you know, you do have to replace modules from time to time, but it's more affordable than replacing a whole entire Tesla Model S battery pack.
Right.
There's so many of those Leafs out there and so many modules out there that for repairing a battery pack, it's way more cost effective and a lot easier than repairing a Model S battery pack. And I mean, the Nissan Leaf, 2011, you know, let's say it has 120,000 miles, you can pick one up for about $1,500.
Right.
And then you can go and put a good newer battery pack in it for about 3,000. So, you know, now you're about 4,500. I mean, the drive units in those things, also dogs. We've never replaced a single one. We have one around here somewhere. I'm not sure where it went. Oh, it's around the corner.
Yeah.
We've had that for years.
Yeah.
Thinking like one's going to come in one day. Nothing.
Wow.
So for reliability, cost effectiveness, Nissan Leaf. If you want something luxury and, you know, kind of cost effective, Tesla, but, you know, you will eventually pay for it.
There are risks, risks inherent with that, and also the cost. But yeah, it's hard. The Leaf is not a looker, but Old Faithful, as they call
Yeah.
it. And
Oh yeah.
that was
It'll run.
one of the first. And hey, it's a shame that like as a car reviewer who looks at mostly exclusively new cars, Nissan's just not ahead of the game at all.
No.
The Aria is nothing class leading whatsoever, but it's cool, and I gotta tip my hat to them, you know, being early on, which makes me wish they were much further ahead now. Like you'd think first to the race would mean something, but no, but they did a lot of R&D with the Leaf.
Yeah.
They made a solid car. They even have really interesting tidbits, like, you know, the sound system is like twice as efficient as other sound systems of the age, because they cared about efficiency.
No, I know. I mean, it's really a fantastic vehicle. You know, everything's super old school. Even in their newer Nissan EVs, it still feels old school.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, like, their newer EVs that are coming out, like you said, you get in there and you're like, this kind of doesn't make sense for the price point. But those older Nissans, I mean, man, they're awesome. Those Leafs are awesome.
I hope if Slate works out that they end up like the Leaf, where it's just like so freaking reliable. And I mean, that's real. I mean, the Leaf has a screen, the Slate doesn't.
Nope.
The Leaf has power windows, the Slate doesn't. Like,
I'm super excited for it. You know, I drive a Land Cruiser, which is gas guzzler. Why I drive the Leaf now too. Yeah. But yeah, those Slate trucks, me and my crew were talking about how awesome it would be to be in an EV repair shop and now have an EV shop car that was a truck, super easy to work on. Like, I'm really excited to get one in our shop so we can look at the maintenance and see really what's involved on these vehicles. But from DIY, I mean,
yeah, it'll be really interesting to see like Slate versus Tello in that aspect.
Yeah.
With Tello trying to do like some off-the-shelf stuff, and like shops like you know, having a shop truck. It's hard because that's more expensive up front, but like maybe having a shop truck with, if everything truly is more off the shelf, where shops like you have access to those components.
Exactly.
It might be well worth it to maintain it forever. Internally.
Yeah, so we're excited to see what the future holds, especially with these new companies coming out that are like, hey, these are open. You can get these parts off the shelf.
Yep.
I mean, theoretically, the longevity of those vehicles should go on for way, way longer than, you know, the RAV4 EV and things that are kind of like secluded.
Right, and hopefully companies pay attention to that, because it is hard. You have people like we started off saying, people bought this with kind of hopes and dreams, and a lot of people, probably a lot of disgruntled customers that are just like, wow, I can't believe it's going to cost this much to keep it alive, because there just weren't that many. And so that's something that, you know, as I'm reviewing cars usually with like, how good's the software? Can it route plan? Does it have an 80 amp onboard charger? Does it need it? Versus another interesting thing to look at that we can't always see when cars launch, but as they start getting into customers' hands, and more importantly, start visiting shops to figure out what's the repairability, what's the reliability, how do we get parts? So yeah, I think it's a fascinating discussion. Always fun to come see what you guys are working on.
Thank you.
There's always something cool in the lifts. And yeah, it's fun to see the cars in the parking lot. I mean, this whole industry is really fun and fascinating. And so if there's any specific cars and parts and stuff you guys are curious about, I mean, we can always make subsequent videos on specifics. I mean, Alex has been doing a great job on this channel, showcasing a lot of repairs, a lot of really interesting stuff, like using certain Tesla parts on a Leaf, a 3D printed part he just recently used on something.
Yeah, I saw that. That was rad.
I was like, that's cool. So there's a lot of creativity happening from you guys to keep, well, these cars alive and to come up with solutions for now defunct supply chains. So nice work.
Thank you.
Always fun. Check out the shop.
Future's always changing. So
right, yeah. So check out Conduit EV, of course, and we'll see you guys in another out of spec renew video soon.